Indiana Jones, It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute, the podcast in which we celebrate and discuss the film Raiders of the Lost Ark 1 minute at a time. I'm Tom Taylor.
I'm Pete Mummert.
I'm Jerry Porter.
He's Evan Jacover.
It's true. That was Ryan DiGiorgi.
Yay!
Hey!
We
You
figured
never
out
know what these guys are going to do next. Beautiful. Well done, guys. And welcome back.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
We are glad you could finish out this week with us as we spend the rest of the week on this island, right? Oh, no. Well, we'll see. Minute 110. 110 begins with Indy and Marion alone on the island with the Ark, and it ends with Indy complaining about fools, bureaucratic.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, does the government Porkins meeting take place in the Lincoln Memorial?
Yeah, apparently.
That's implied.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that's where most government work takes place.
Yeah, if you pull back Lincoln's ear, a door opens up behind the statue, and he's got Porkins' office.
Like, are they just showing that, oh, this is a government setting type
Yeah.
place now? Or is it actually like, oh, yeah, this is where people talk about where to put rare antiquities?
I think
The
it's
Lincoln
just saying,
Memorial.
I think it's just saying Washington, D.C.,
No, yeah, sure.
present day. Although I do want to know, is that like did they actually film that shot for this movie? Or is this like any kind of like very nice stock footage from some other period film?
For the movie.
It probably did because that's some pretty specific cars and stuff.
It is, but I don't know why I watch movies, because like I see something like that, I'm like, oh my gosh, what a pain in the ass. They had to close off that street, and people probably wanted to come and see the Lincoln Memorial, and they had to get all those cars, and they had to make sure other cars were in the, oh, why even bother? Just do the whole thing as a cartoon and don't worry about bothering other people. Heavens to Betsy.
And like nobody interesting was even there that day. Like Spielberg probably wasn't there, right? Like that's second unit stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I didn't get to see Abraham Lincoln, but at least I get to see oh, that's not Steven
Right.
Spielberg. Yeah, what a drag.
So how
Movie
did
suck.
I've got a few questions here.
Okay.
How did Indy and Marion pack up the Ark? Like, did they reuse the Nazi crate?
Right.
Did he grab Belloc's clothes? Second question, how did they get the Ark back to the States? Like, did they steal the sub, or like were those other Nazis on the island still alive? Were they all dead? And then 3, if they weren't dead, how did they subdue like that entire base filled with Nazis so that they could get out of there with the Ark?
I can only imagine they called in the Marines or something. I mean, I don't know
Well,
how.
it's possible. He could like break into some radio control room thing and get some
Right.
message out, maybe. And
It's a lot of logistics.
The Ark is a radio for talking to God.
yeah, but what if the Ark is a radio for speaking to Katanga, and they contact him, and he comes and pulls up on like the far side of the island and helps them out? I want that to be true. And Indy gets his hat back.
ILM didn't have time to animate the part where like God's hand just reaches out and plucks everybody and like puts them back over in the U.S. and then gives a thumbs up and leaves.
Whoopsie daisy.
Right, exactly.
There you go.
Good luck, Indy.
Well, that's a good, it's interesting. Did he destroy the base too?
Oh, God?
How far did that chain reaction go?
Yeah. Did he kill every Nazi on the island, or just the ones that were in the little place?
Well, and why stop at Malta?
Yeah.
I mean, why not take the fireball to Berlin?
Well, he didn't do
We don't really
that.
see where this valley ends. Like, we see the valley goes
Right.
out. Clearly, everyone in it got lightning bolted. But
Yeah.
maybe it just kept going. Does this little valley kind of go all the way to the seaport?
Well, this is the alternate history, and that's why Porkins is saying you've done your country a great service by wiping out the entire Nazi army everywhere in the world. That was awesome of you. Thank you.
The Last Crusade must be entirely new Nazis. Like, all
Oh, like
gone.
Yeah.
you refilled all the Nazi tanks. Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
It's like a new Führer. This time he's Führer instead of Ferber.
Well, he's Führer.
Oh, that's the one we know in our history. I get it.
But we also know that he's Admiral Ozzel from the submarine becomes the Fuhrer.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so
I read
at
that.
least he survived.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
On
that's a
this
good
island.
point.
Does Hitler ever learn about any of this?
He's a nut. He's
How
a
much
nut
did
for it.
how much did they? Well, yeah, no, I know, but how much had they reported back at this point? Like, does he learn about anything that happened with the Ark, or is he just like, I sent those guys to get that Ark? I wonder whatever happened to it.
Last I heard, they were close in Tanis.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they
Right.
said that. Dietrich was mad at Belloc for telling, or no, Belloc was mad at Dietrich for telling de Ferber too soon that they were close to getting the Ark.
Right.
So maybe that's the last he heard.
That's weird. And
Now
then,
he's like,
and everyone he ever told about it is dead. And he's like, that's a little weird too. But oh well.
cannot get to the bottom of this Ark thing. Where's my Ark? Oh well.
Oh well.
On to Poland.
Well, when Porkins says the top men, I thought, well, look, Belloc's head just exploded, Porkins. I saw it myself. Like, what else he got? Like, who else? Like, none of these top men, I feel, ever went to Sunday school. It's like you have the swallowed up lack of proof in this spotless Maltese altar.
Yeah, but the top men is like a total feint, right? I mean, that's what I'm led to believe.
Oh yeah. I think
Yeah.
I think Porkins is totally blowing smoke up his ass. But then Indy, when he holds his feet to the fire, it says, "Who is he saying?" Look, I know you're BSing me. Oh, okay, what top men do you have? Or is he saying, who do you have? You've got Indiana Jones and Marcus Brody, the two top men on the Ark, now that Abner's dead and Belloc exploded and stuff.
Right.
What other top men could you possibly have?
He's like, we got this guy Forrestal. He's great.
No, you know what's crazy is that Marcus is all uppity and indignant with his whole "where is the Ark" insistences. And I'm like, Marcus, did you not just hear about what happened the last 5 minutes?
Well, did any of them? I mean, this seems a
Indy,
little
did
confusing.
Indy keep it a secret? I want to say, like, Marcus, how do you plan on researching the Ark? Like, you can't touch
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
God forbid you open it. I mean, that'll ruin a faculty party.
It's like, yeah, when you look at this movie, or when you look at the scene kind of on the surface, kind of quickly watching it in the movie theater, you're like, oh, it's Indy and Marcus versus, Eaton and Musgrove. But then you're like, oh, wait a minute. Belloc, Marcus and Indy are actually saying two completely different things. Like, Indy's saying, like, who are you trying to hide the Ark from? It's just the Ark. And Marcus is saying the Ark is unimaginably powerful and it's got to be researched. And it doesn't sound like they're saying the same thing. They're actually contradicting each other.
I feel like when the movie came out, this was sort of a sly ending of like the government's screwed us up again.
Yeah.
But I feel like watching it now, it's sort of like they come off as having made the right decision. It's like, look,
Totally.
this thing is crazy powerful. We're just not even going to touch it. We're putting it in a room where nobody else can get to it.
Yeah.
And what are they researching? It's like, well, okay, we figured out how to turn this into a weapon. First step, you get a supreme being over all the universe.
Get them
And
mad
then-
at you or your enemies.
Well, and it's like, what are they gonna do? Like, what are they actually gonna do? Take it to the third floor geology building, dust it off with, dust off an angel or seraphim with one of those archaeology brushes, and then just hope that you didn't covet your neighbor's tatas.
Good luck. Have you seen the neighbor's
Have you seen that neighbor?
Man.
Like, what do they mean research?
I would love to see Marcus in a room like, okay, now we're going to research and
Yeah,
And
there
they're-
appear to be
they're-
two angels on top.
Like, Andy and Marcus are dead serious about taking this thing back to Marshall College.
right.
It's not Marshall College, for God's sake. They want to take it there in D.C., the National Museum.
No,
Which
that's
is
not true.
legit.
They say the museum.
The museum that Marcus Brody works at. Where's John Brugan? He's got to make me a T-shirt that says Martin Brody,
So you're bringing
Marcus
in
Brody
evidence.
works at the thing.
You're bringing in evidence that's not in the movie, Tom.
Oh yeah.
Marcus
That
already-
stuff doesn't count.
It totally.
I mean, you could clearly the Ark of the Covenant would go in the Smithsonian.
Yeah, that's what he's the National Museum.
Yeah, but then you know what would happen? They'd show.
He had
They'd
signs made
show
already.
that final scene
Come see
outside
the Ark.
the Smithsonian.
I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm saying that that's what the plan is. I think it belongs in a box deep in a thing somewhere.
But then Ben Stiller on the night shift is going to open it up, and all the dinosaurs are going to come to life.
All the-
It comes alive. It's like, hey, everybody. I'm the Ark.
Here's my friend Amelia Earhart.
Let me help you with your marriage.
I keep sneezing out ghosts. Sorry about that. Don't look at them. How'd that get there?
So who's the guy in the background leaning against the wall?
Yeah, that's my main. I've never thought about that guy until now. Who is that guy?
It's Buddy Hackett, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
He looks just like the guy from Up.
He does. You know who he reminds me a lot of? He reminds me of the. I don't even know what his job is in the movie. In Jaws, when Matt Hooper shows up and he's doing the autopsy on the little bits of the girl, and they're all in that medical room, and the one guy who had been saying, like, was kind of like under the thumb of the mayor. I don't know why I'm saying this whole thing. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even look like him. But like he's under the thumb of the mayor, and he's like sort of standing in the background, being sort of sheepish, like, I was going to say it was a boat accident, but it's clearly not a boat accident. He's got like the same glasses and the same suit and stuff, and he's standing in the same exact position. And maybe if we go watch every single Steven Spielberg movie, we'll find that same guy in some scene in the background.
It's a guy who thinks everything is possibly a boating accident.
Yeah. Oh, your son's not missing from aliens. He was killed in a boating accident. Well, that doesn't make me feel any better.
This U-boat with the Nazis, probably a boating accident.
Yeah. It's the only explanation.
I mean, someone brought up a really good point, which is, when the time the movie came out, you think, wow, this is one more government, Area 51 cover up, Zapruder film, they killed JFK sort of thing, which is fascinating
Right.
that they sort of hint at, I guess, especially when you consider like, what is this, 7 or 8 years, 9, 10 years after Vietnam? You get the impression that what the government is doing here is the wrong thing, and that the Ark would be in much better hands with Indy and Marcus at the helm.
Yeah, this is like the typical government stepping in and getting its grubby hands and just shutting down all the obviously smart people.
Right.
But I mean, after watching this movie, am I crazy to think that they'd be horrible if the Ark was in Indy's hands and Marcus's hands?
No, yeah, well, it's weird. I mean, we're jumping ahead, to the rapidly approaching end of the movie, but there's a famous shot of the thing. Oh my gosh, I can't believe after all that and you don't watching the movie, you don't have the sense even at the end of the movie necessarily that, oh my God, like after all that, you don't have the sense that, oh, this is exactly what should have happened. Like, oh, good, tuck that away
Right.
somewhere and don't anybody touch it. It's more like, oh my gosh, can you believe it? They went through all that trouble. And
Yeah,
the government
exactly.
screwed them.
It needs to be researched.
He would have been like, first thing, let's melt all this gold off of it. And,
Right.
take it to Marrakesh.
Yeah.
Well, how speaking of money, how much do you think they paid Indy? Because they, Porkins says, "We trust you found the settlement satisfactory," which I think is kind of he's needling him from Han Solo, like taking the reward instead of helping him with that star.
Right.
But Indy immediately says, "Oh, the money's fine." So how much do you think it would take for Indy to say the money's fine? Because he seems to be really into money.
That's a really good question. Like
I think whatever
$1936.
they paid, whatever they said they'd pay him, I bet you they paid him more.
Yeah.
Because he says, I trust that you find the settlement.
Yeah.
And it's
they gotta-
interesting. He says the settlement.
That's true.
You're like, well, what? Did they sue him or something?
To me, that implies he has to sign something that he's not going to talk about it.
Yeah, it's like
Oh,
a gag
maybe.
order or like a
Yeah.
restraining
Interesting.
order.
That sounds like what
you can't
settlement
come within
means.
20 feet of the ark. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm not going within a mile of the Ark.
Yeah.
It sounds like whatever was proffered up at the beginning has been changed.
But to Evan's point, what was the agreement? They just all they ever say at the beginning is like they want you to go find it. Like was he I assume he was getting paid.
Yeah. Marcus says they're prepared to pay handsomely for it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
there was money on the table, but yeah, we don't know what it was. And it's funny that when I was watching Musgrove, the skinny bow tied guy sitting next to Marcus, and he's when Eaton is saying, "We trust you find the settlement satisfactory," he gets this big beaming look on his face, like, "Yeah, this is great, isn't it? This is all working out just the way we all wanted." And then slowly after, Indy's like, "No, the situation is totally unacceptable." He's like, "Oh wait, they're not happy about all the money in the settlement."
my new friends are mad.
Aw, I gotta straighten my bow tie. I feel bad now.
Well, it's interesting because the words are settlement, trust, situation is unacceptable.
That might all just be like sort of like, government business speak. Like instead of saying, "Oh, I hope you like the amount of cash we gave you," they call it a settlement to be sort of, buttoned down about it or something.
Maybe it's a strong arm situation where they're like, look, you have information that could definitely be considered dangerous to a war effort. Not really in 1936 for America, but so we could definitely hold you up in court for a long time, or take you away and put you in a hole somewhere. But we're making this agreement right now, right, where we give you this money and everything's good, right?
Yeah. That's actually a really good point, because even just like if people found out that the government was paying archaeologists to go to like Egypt and find religious artifacts just to spite Hitler, like they might be like, "Guys, what's going on? Wait a minute."
But it is like the greatest weapon in the world.
Right.
Well, that's why it's so
but,
weird that India's indignant about like safe from who. It's like, well, literally anyone.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, why that question bothers me. I don't get why he asked that exactly.
It feels like the real question there, the real thing that they were trying to get across was he doesn't feel like the government is the safe hands.
Right.
But it's not, it doesn't come across. Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
For one thing, I can't tell if he says from who or from whom. I can't
says
tell.
Whom?
He
He
says
does
who.
say. Okay,
I
good.
think it says whom.
Anyway.
Yeah,
Indiana
Brody
Jones is
screws
not a
him
whom
because
man.
Brody doesn't give Porkins a chance to answer.
That's true. He probably was totally going to tell him. He's going to lay it out for him. But
He's
then
like,
Marcus
"Well,
had to
from-
interrupt.
Glad you asked.
From the Russians.
Their body language is interesting though, because like they're not making eye contact with him. Like you could tell they're really upset.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got his arms crossed at the beginning. Indy does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
he's
staring at
like-
the floor.
Right.
Well, I guess the message is the government hosed him.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all we need to come over with. The government hosed him.
They're being.
It's the
they
new
were
Belloc,
used.
right?
Yeah.
He finds something, they take it away. There's nothing
That's
you can't
right.
find, Indy. Yeah.
That's true. That's actually a good theme, yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing they can't take away is Marion, but he doesn't really care much about her.
Right. He doesn't even know she's
so
there,
she's
trying to
agreeing.
follow him on the stairs.
Like their relationship is summed up perfectly in the end.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
That's actually great. Yeah, she's just trying to follow him up and down the stairs. He barely even knows that she's there. She's like a little lapdog, all
Turns
eager to
around
be
look.
with
She
him.
thinks he's looking at her, but he's looking at something else. Like,
Right.
you know,
Oh my god. I got to say before we get away from it, Marcus is up there. You see him for the last time up there, like, just talking to Indy for a second. And when you watch this movie, not like an idiot, like 1 minute at a time over the course of months, but like as just a movie, a 2-hour movie, you see Marcus again at the end. Hey, there's Marcus from the beginning of the movie. All right. But as we're watching it now, like we spent like, I don't know, a couple of weeks with Marcus, like earlier this summer. And now it's like, oh, this is all I get with Marcus. I get only 1 more minute with Marcus. Oh no, come back, Marcus. I love this guy. And I only get to see him for like this 1 more minute.
wouldn't they go get dinner together?
I mean, yeah.
Right. Where's Marcus going? Back inside?
Yeah, I don't know. Where were
Marcus
you?
is like, I'll give you two some time alone, but Indy doesn't get the hint.
Right.
What were you saying, Pete?
What were you saying, Pete?
Oh, I was kind of upset because they didn't really get a nice farewell scene. Like, it's very perfunctory. But then I was thinking, well, they're probably on the same flight back to California to Marshall like that evening.
Stop it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like that kind of talk.
Or where is he going though? He turns right back around and goes right back up into the building.
I actually like that a lot because I feel like he's like, I'm going to go back in there and tell them off again. And then he gets better.
He's
Or
like,
it's gonna be
well,
like
time to research the arc. I'm the target.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I totally played it up like I was mad at you guys, and now that he's gone, I can research the arc, right? Okay. Totally. But this, Pete, I'm sure you're going to tell us, but isn't this building like not anywhere near Washington D.C. This actual location?
This building is actually very important in my life. This is San Francisco City Hall, and I like it because I actually got my marriage license about 20 feet to the right of where they're standing.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah, this was a
Nice.
big part of my life.
Did you guys get your pictures taken right exactly here on the spot on these stairs?
No, but we're going to now.
Those
You
are guys
should.
standing in the corner, just kind of watching.
Yeah.
while you got in there.
Jerry can be going back upstairs.
I
Yelling
actually
about-
didn't notice that was Marcus in this final shot of the minute.
I didn't notice it for years, but
I
yeah.
never noticed it until today, or not today, but like when I started looking at the minute.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
noticed that.
I have a quick question about the boardroom here, though. Like, is that are those two fancy candles on the desk, or is that like water?
Yeah, I think there's some sort of decanter water things.
There's like four. There's like
Yeah,
four
it's water.
candle,
Oh yeah.
right? They're like four candle holders.
I think
Glass
it's water
candle
with
holders?
glasses.
Or they
Everyone
like
gets their
kerosene
own.
lamp, kind of kerosene lamp kind of things.
Yeah.
So like they're like a stack of glasses on top of each decanter. That's what you're saying, Evan?
I think everyone gets their own decanter.
Everyone gets their own decanter.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. The government has the money to spare.
These are your tax dollars at work.
That's what makes Indy even madder. He's like, oh, this excess water, and I can't even play with the Ark.
You know, I think what I come away with in this minute is that Indy and Marcus are completely crazy. Yeah, they think that like they're gonna have the Ark. Like some of it's like, well, what did you guys think
Yeah.
was gonna happen?
Well, Marcus, like from the very beginning, we know that he didn't like think this through because at the very beginning when he tells Indy about, hey, they want you to go after the Ark and they're going to pay handsomely, and Indy's like, oh, and the museum gets the Ark when they're finished, and Brody's like, oh, totally, yeah, I'm sure we absolutely get the Ark at the museum because
He
like
says,
I totally,
"Oh, of course."
yeah, and like just you can see that he's assuming that like that was never brought up, and he's just like, wouldn't that be great if we got the Ark?
Well, I mean, you wonder, was the original meeting at Marshall College where Indy wasn't present, where they just like, okay, we've thought about it. We'd like you to go get the Ark, and he was like, sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll tell Indy.
yeah.
But it's funny because like Belloc kind of took advantage of a government to kind of meet his own ends, like to meet his own goals in this movie, and Indy just completely got taken over by a government.
Right.
Yeah, he's too nice. He should have been more like Belloc, then he'd be awesome.
I forget. I know this was like
Headless, but-
months ago for you guys, but like at the beginning of the movie, why does the government want? The government knows Hitler wants the Ark, but when Indy brings up the idea of like, oh, some people say it has powers, both the government guys are like, this idiot doesn't know anything. Secret magic, forget it. But if they don't believe in the magic, why does the government want the Ark in the first place?
Yeah, we did talk about that. And I wondered if it was, God, what did we say? What did we come up with? I think one of the options was that it was just to, like, if Hitler wants it, then we don't want him to have it,
Right.
or...
I like that.
And they do seem to sort of, like, when he shows them the picture in the Bible, he turns right to the page, they seem to sort of be I'm beginning to understand Hitler's interest in this. Like,
It must
Okay.
have always seemed like he might have been on board with the kind of supernatural stuff. Porkins definitely wasn't, but
Right.
right.
Okay.
might have been a little more amenable to that.
Well, I guess I bring it up because it's like if they ever thought this had any kind of like power to it, you're clearly right that they wouldn't have been like, oh yeah, and sure, this small college can totally keep it when we find it.
Yeah, right. But then, yeah, if they did want it for a weapon, why are they packing it away? And but it's weird. Like, if you think if Indy told them exactly what happened, gave them a full, debriefing. From what I can, last time I looked, there were a island full of Nazis, and then when I opened my eyes again, they were all gone. Heard a lot of screaming, a lot of fire and stuff. You would, like in any other movie, the rest of the movie, this would be the beginning of the movie, and the rest of the movie would be the government trying, we're going to make a super weapon out of this because this sounds like a super powerful thing, and we've got the hubris to think that we can channel it or whatever and stuff. So you'd think that there'd be an element of that here, that like the government would be like, oh, according to Dr. Jones, it sounds like this thing kicks a lot of ass. We should figure out how to use this.
Totally flip-flopped from like Jurassic Park, where the prudent,
Right.
the hero is the prudent character who's warning everyone not to mess with it. Here, the
Right,
hero is
right.
like, yeah, let's mess with it. Let's research
Yeah.
it.
Why are you hiding? Who cares? I was almost killed by the thing, but why are you trying to pack it away somewhere? I don't
It's
get
again, meddling ass hoes.
it. Yeah. That's never getting a bell, by the way, meddling ass hose.
No, it doesn't have to. It stands by itself.
I guess.
It's a T-shirt.
It could be a t-shirt.
What's interesting is, I mean, when we're originally introduced as to why they want the Ark, they're kind of like, well, Hitler's a nuts on the subject,
Right.
and that's the original reason,
Yeah.
And then it goes into, well, look, it has these powers, but what do you mean? Well, here, I'll open the page. The whole thing is kind of strange. It is a little strange.
dodgy.
Yeah, because they pack it away, and like, if they're gonna research it as a weapon, I would understand that. I don't know how they do it.
Here's a question: do you think Porkins even knows where the Ark went? Is he high up enough on the chain, or if they were just like, "Hey, Porkins, if anybody asks, it's top men."
Yeah, he could just be the middleman. He could just be
I
the
think
one
he's
telling them.
Yeah, I don't think. But Porkins doesn't know where the Ark went.
Like for all he knows, it really is being researched by top men.
Yeah.
That's
That's a good point. Yeah.
I don't think he cares.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. He just
I
wants
think
to
a
get
lot of
things
these
out his
people,
mouth.
much like Dietrich, he's just doing his job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dietrich's just doing his job. And this Porkins is just doing his job. He doesn't really care what's in the Ark. He doesn't care if it's dead Israelites, angels, the actual 10 Commandments. He's just doing his job.
Yeah. You can say that about anybody in this movie. Like Belloq's just doing his job. He's hired by the Nazis to get the Ark. Although he and Indy have a different kind of, not personal interest, but kind of more passion about it, I guess, than just a job.
Talking about guys just doing their jobs. I like that in both Star Wars and this movie, Porkins goes out smoking.
That's not funny. That's awful. That man died trying to save the rebellion. How could you? Listen, this has been awesome, you guys. Thank you so much for joining us this week.
It was so fun. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I hear that there are other Indiana Jones movies, and maybe you'll come back someday.
I would love to.
And since,
I like Last Crusade possibly better than all of the other Indiana Jones movies. So
Oh, really? Awesome. Okay.
I do love Last
that's
Crusade
the
as well.
one that I like, grew up with. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I had no idea. See, I always assume that Raiders is the one, and then the rest are the other ones. But
I can
that's not
acknowledge
always
that
the
Raiders
case.
is the best in the original, but Last Crusade is just, I love it. It's
Yeah.
like the perfect movie. And there are no flaws in it. I'm sure if you really go through it 1 minute at a time, you probably won't see anything.
I can't wait.
Certainly, Harrison Ford's flawless Scottish accent isn't any kind of problem.
This sounds great. I can't wait. This is going to be really cool. But since this movie's almost done, people are going to need other podcasts to listen to. So where are they going to find yours?
Well, Evan and I are producers on Hello from the Magic Tavern, which is a great improvised comedy podcast that you will love to listen to. And we also make video games at Jackbox Games. Jackbox Party Pack 3 is coming out in less than a month.
Awesome.
Probably.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
We look forward to all of these things. I love that show. The Magic Tavern is an excellent podcast, and everyone should listen when they're not listening to us.
Thanks so much.
agree.
Pete, where can people find us while they still can?
Still can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on iTunes, and you can find all of our episodes and lots of other information about Han Solo's dream, archaeology news. You want to find out about past guests, you want to buy some shirts, you can find all of that on our website at indianajonesminute.com.
I'm going to go there right now.
Excellent. I'll meet you there.
Okay.
But all you, please come back next week for minute 111 of Raiders of the Lost Ark here on the Indiana Jones Minute.
Well, gentlemen, I guess that just about wraps it up.